Sit back and listen closely, because what you're about to hear is a story of power, deception, and the quiet man no one saw coming. Elias Mercer stood in his sleek home office, the afternoon sun throwing heavy shadows against the walls. Trophies, models, and architectural sketches decorated every surface. He was 40 tall and physically disciplined. His 6'2" framed the result of daily 5 a.m. workouts. Across from him paced his wife, Celine Mercer. She was 38, with glossy dark hair and an angular figure clothed in top-tier designer fashion. Her expression was defiant, her sharp features heightened by the furious flush on her cheeks. She was used to admiration and envy, but that day, no one would have recognized her smug confidence for anything other than venom. "Are you even going to speak?" Celine Mercer snapped, her voice brimming with haughty impatience. "You look at me like you're some grand judge, but you have no idea what I've gone through. You think your silent act makes you strong?" James stood behind his modern steel desk, posture rigid. He was good at hiding emotion, so good that people often underestimated him, just as Celine Mercer had. His steel-gray eyes flipped over her outfit. He knew exactly how much it had cost. After all, he had paid for it less than a week prior. "I'm processing the situation," he said in an even tone. "You expect me to fall apart, but you haven't told me anything I didn't already suspect." Celine Mercer's mouth twisted in anger. She planted her hands on her hips, displaying a sapphire ring on her left hand, the ring she had flaunted around town for a month. James had seen the jewelry receipt on his credit card statement. He knew it hadn't been a gift from him. "Fine," she said. "I'm ending this. Dorian Mercer, your own brother, makes me feel alive in ways you never did. He's more of a man, more exciting, more spontaneous. I'm leaving you for him." James let a stretched silence hang between them, cold tension filling the air. "You're leaving for my twin brother," he said, voice so calm it was terrifying. "And you expect me to show regret? Are you waiting for tears or a breakdown?" "I'm waiting for a reaction," Celine Mercer hissed. "But you stand there looking smug. Dorian Mercer wants me with him, and he wants your share of the family engineering firm. Your parents are behind him too. They think he should have been the one to lead the company all along. They'll push you out. He's taking your place, your name, everything you think you've earned." James's gaze took in the trembling of her hands. He recognized it from the early days of their marriage, that slight shake whenever she was bluffing or half-lying while playing cards or orchestrating manipulations. Celine Mercer had always loved playing mind games. "Then you have nothing left to discuss with me," James replied, voice still level. "If you've chosen him, congratulations. Perhaps you'll enjoy the beach house he stole with embezzled funds. Make yourself at home there," she blinked. Clearly, she hadn't expected him to know about the laundering or the missing company money. For a moment, her eyes widened, but then her arrogant mask returned. "We'll be perfectly fine," she said, her voice rising. "Dorian Mercer knows how to seize opportunities, unlike you, with your tedious caution. Always so ethical, always so by the book. You think you're superior, but guess what? Good guys finish last." "We'll see," James said, motioning toward the door. "If you're finished, I have a project that needs my attention. Take your final belongings, leave the keys. You've made your decision." Celine Mercer hesitated, as if planning some cutting remark. Instead, she spun on her expensive heels and stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the framed awards. James listened to her footsteps echo away, then the front door opening and closing. The engine of her luxury car rasped, then faded into silence. When he was certain she had gone, James turned to his computer and opened a private email account. He typed a short, pre-written message to a special contact at the FBI's white-collar crime division, then hit send. Late that night, with a tumbler of whiskey in hand, untouched, James sat alone in his study. He stared at security footage on multiple monitors. He had installed the cameras long ago, anticipating corporate spies. Celine Mercer, of course, had no clue how thorough he was, nor did she suspect his ability to knock every intrusion into his office. He watched images of Celine Mercer and Dorian Mercer sneaking into the house at 2 a.m., rummaging through locked cabinets. Other clips showed them stealing passwords, emailing files to each other, forging digital signatures, even rummaging through his personal safe. Celine Mercer had always bragged that she understood him inside and out, that she could fool him any time. But arrogance was her greatest weakness. "They really thought I'd never see this," he muttered to himself. He had meticulously compiled months of evidence. His twin brother, Dorian Mercer, had orchestrated a grand scheme to siphon James's designs and sabotage him within the family firm. Celine Mercer, lured by visions of wealth and excitement, had eagerly become Dorian Mercer's accomplice. The two of them had planned everything, down to Celine Mercer leaving James at the most psychologically opportune moment. "They think I'm boring, too quiet," James whispered, a flicker of cold amusement shaping his lips. They never asked themselves what secrets a quiet man might hide. He closed the video files and stood, posture rigid. A single email notification blinked. The FBI contact had replied, confirming a meeting. In the morning, James would provide the first set of documents proving Dorian Mercer's embezzlement. The rest would follow in due time, once it produced maximum damage. Close to midnight, a timid knock sounded at the study door. James checked the security feed and saw Vivian Marianne, his friend of 2 decades in the firm's legal counsel, standing there with her shoulders tense. "Come in," he said, not bothering to greet her formally. Vivian stepped inside. Her hair was disheveled, and her eyes were puffy from crying. She was a tall woman in her early 40s, usually confident in a boardroom or courtroom. Now she looked like a cornered animal. "James," she began, "I need to explain something. Dorian Mercer approached me a while back. To steal my patents," James interjected calmly. "He wanted you to create secret shell companies, right? So he could claim ownership of my earthquake-resistant designs. Don't tell me more. I already know enough." She looked at him, lips parted. "How could you possibly?" "The same way I figured out Celine Mercer's betrayal," he said. "I pay attention." Vivian tried to regain some composure. "I was tricked," she insisted, voice shaking. "He forged some documents. He said, your parents wanted to restructure everything. I didn't realize the extent. I expected better from you," James said, voice clinical. "You served as my attorney at the wedding. Introduced me to major investors, acted like a friend. But you sold me out for your own gain, for a bitter slice of the firm, correct? He threatened me," she whispered. "He said if I didn't cooperate, he'd ruin my reputation. Tell the Bar Association I'd committed other ethical violations. And so you decided to betray me," James said, bitterness underscoring each word. "Well, now you can pack up your files. I've already forwarded your involvement to the Bar Association. I wouldn't expect to keep your license." Vivian sank into the nearest chair, face pale. "James, please," she said, tears forming. "I've known you for 20 years. We were friends. You stopped being my friend the moment you conspired with my brother." He pressed a button on his desk phone. "Security, please escort Miss Marianne out. She's no longer welcome here." "James," Vivian cried, but he refused to look at her. He kept his gaze on a closed-circuit feed, showing her fleeing the house moments later. When the door finally slammed shut, he exhaled, still cold and resolute. The next morning found James arriving at Carter Engineering Group's downtown office. Located on the top floors of a gleaming skyscraper he had personally helped design in his 20s. The building was a testament to both creativity and precision. Treats that his family, ironically, had always praised Andamian more than in him. But as he stepped onto the executive floor, employees halted mid-conversation, giving him uneasy looks. Word had spread that Celine Mercer had left him. People whispered, some smirked, pitting him. Others looked uncertain, not knowing which Carter twin was truly in control. In the glass-walled boardroom, his parents sat with Andamian. Reginald Carter was an older man with crisp silver hair. Once a strong figurehead, but lately too eager to appease the more cunning members of his family. Vivian Carter, refined and distant, had always placed social reputation above everything else. Damien looked up, surprise etched on his face as James entered. "Brother," Damien said, trying to sound cordial. "We weren't expecting you. Father wanted a private conversation regarding the firm's direction." "I'm sure," James replied, "but I have pressing matters. Someone's been stealing patented designs. FBI agents will be here soon. I thought it best to warn you." Damien bristled. "You're paranoid. You bring in FBI agents over a business dispute? There's no theft. You're turning a personal problem into a federal problem," James said, cutting him off. "You might want a lawyer by your side, but I doubt Vivian can help you now." At that instant, 2 men in dark suits stepped through the boardroom doors, flanked by other agents. One produced a batch. "Special Agent Mills, FBI White Collar Crimes Division," he said. "We have a warrant for Damien Carter's arrest on suspicion of corporate espionage and embezzlement." The room froze. Reginald shot to his feet, face reddening with anger. "This is an outrage," Reginald said, rounding on James. "How could you do this to your own brother? James regarded his father with a cool stare. He's the one who decided to steal. I simply handed over the evidence. Security, please escort Miss Marianne out. She's no longer welcome here. James, Vivian cried, but he refused to look at her. He kept his gaze on a closed-circuit feed, showing her fleeing the house moments later. When the door finally slammed shut, he exhaled, still cold and resolute. The next morning found James arriving at Carter Engineering Group's downtown office. Located on the top floors of a gleaming skyscraper he had personally helped design in his 20s. The building was a testament to both creativity and precision. Treats that his family, ironically, had always praised Endamian more than in him. But as he stepped onto the executive floor, employees halted mid-conversation, giving him uneasy looks. Word had spread that Celine Mercer had left him. People whispered, some smirked, pitting him. Others looked uncertain, not knowing which Carter twin was truly in control. In the glass-walled boardroom, his parents sat with Endamian. Reginald Carter was an older man with crisp silver hair. Once a strong figurehead, but lately too eager to appease the more cunning members of his family. Vivian Carter, refined and distant, had always placed social reputation above everything else. Damien looked up, surprise etched on his face as James entered. "Brother," Damien said, trying to sound cordial. "We weren't expecting you." Father wanted a private conversation regarding the firm's direction. "I'm sure," James replied, "but I have pressing matters. Someone's been stealing patented designs. FBI agents will be here soon. I thought it best to warn you." Damien bristled. "You're paranoid. You bring in FBI agents over a business dispute? There's no theft. You're turning a personal problem into a federal problem," James said, cutting him off. "You might want a lawyer by your side, but I doubt Vivian can help you now." At that instant, two men in dark suits stepped through the boardroom doors, flanked by other agents. One produced a batch. "Special Agent Mills, FBI White Collar Crimes Division," he said. "We have a warrant for Damien Carter's arrest on suspicion of corporate espionage and embezzlement." The room froze. Reginald shot to his feet, face reddening with anger. "This is an outrage," Reginald said, rounding on James. "How could you do this to your own brother?" James regarded his father with a cool stare. "He's the one who decided to steal. I simply handed over the evidence." Damien stood so quickly, his chair toppled. "You've lost your mind," he shouted, fists clenched. "There's no real evidence, Father. Mother, stop these agents." But the agents stepped forward, reading him his rights and cuffing him. Damien thrashed, glaring daggers at James. "You think this is over?" Damien snarled, voice trembling with fury. "I'll ruin you from behind bars if I have to." "I doubt it," James said softly. Vivian Carter grabbed her husband's arm, her eyes wide with shock and fear. But neither parent could halt the arrest. They stood there powerless as agents led Damien away. James moved to one side, letting them pass. He noticed with detached amusement that Damien's expensive suit had begun to tear at the shoulder from the struggle. "We'll talk later," James told his parents. "We'll see what the board decides, especially concerning the millions of dollars missing from the company accounts." His mother opened her mouth, but no words came out. Reginald sputtered, unable to conjure the usual paternal commands. They'd never seen James so calm, so methodical, so ruthless. "You can't do this to our family," Vivian finally managed. "You'd be surprised what I can do," James said, stepping out into the hallway. In another corner office, a senior project manager named Desmond Langley watched the scene unfold from behind partially drawn blinds. He had long resented James for overshadowing him. Now, with Damien arrested, rumors buzzed that James was dangerously unhinged. Desmond placed a call to Celine Mercer, who answered on the second ring. "What do you have for me?" she demanded, her tone arrogant and impatient. "I'm stuck in a hotel suite I hate, listening to reporters call me a traitor." "I've gathered files on James's upcoming designs," Desmond said, his voice low. "I can make it appear that he's made catastrophic errors. If the board believes he's a liability, he'll be forced out." "That's exactly what I need," Celine Mercer said, letting out an exasperated breath. "Damien's gone, the family is in chaos, and the only way I'm getting anything out of this marriage is if I turn the blame back on James, make him look incompetent or even criminal. Then I can claim his meltdown caused all this, and I'll salvage some money in the divorce." "I'll show the board everything tomorrow," Desmond replied, lips curving into a sly grin. "Then if all goes according to plan, James gets axed, you get your slice, and I step into a leadership role. We can squeeze him out permanently." Celine Mercer, who had somehow managed to be present despite her personal disgrace, fame shock. He's been under emotional distress, Celine Mercer said, her voice heavy with pretended sincerity. I hate to say it, but Dorian Mercer always warned that James might be unstable. Desmond nodded solemnly, pressing forward. For the safety of the company, we need to remove James from active design work, possibly from his position entirely. There's no telling how long these errors have been going on. He clicked to the next slide, but the projector flickered, revealing a corrupted file symbol. A sudden hush fell over the room. Then the lights in the boardroom brightened, and a new set of slides replaced Desmond's doctored ones. These displayed bank transfers, offshore accounts in Desmond's name, and emails detailing bribery. Desmond's face lost color. What is this? He stammered, yanking at the laptop cable. James stood. It appears we have an unexpected slideshow, Desmond, he said, voice crisp. I'd suggest you start explaining your own figures, like these $200,000 transfers from contractors to your personal account in the Caymans. I wonder how the FBI might interpret such data. Several board members exchanged shocked glances. Desmond, one of them said, voice trembling with anger. Is this for real? We had no idea. This is a setup, Desmond gasped, eyes darting. James is framing me. He's paranoid, making up stories. Suddenly, men in dark suits entered. One stepped forward, holding up a batch. Special Agent Nelson, FBI, he said. Mr. Langley, we have evidence of fraud and illegal kickbacks under your management. You're coming with us. Desmond shoved back his chair, attempting to flee, but the agents wrestled him into handcuffs. His face burned red as he screamed at James. You bastard, you set me up. You're the villain here. If that's what you want to call it, James said with a detached shrug. Celine Mercer glanced around, dread dawning in her eyes. She slipped toward the door, but Agent Nelson motioned for her to stop. Mrs. Carter, we also like to speak with you regarding certain design thefts you may have aided, he said. Not quite placing her under arrest, but making it clear she was a person of interest. The board sat in stunned silence as Desmond was hauled out, cursing, tears rolling down his cheeks. Celine Mercer's face lost its arrogant composure, replaced by a flicker of real fear. I might need a lawyer, she said, swallowing hard. James calmly turned off the projector. He faced the board, whose members looked rattled. We have real calculations here, he said, tapping a fit binder. All verified by independent experts, pristine and safe. There are no errors, as you'll see once you read the genuine reports. My designs are sound. It's the sabotage that wasn't. That same afternoon, James received frantic texts from Reginald and Vivian, summoning him to the family mansion. He arrived to find them in the foyer, pacing anxiously. They had once lived in regal comfort, hosting gallows and fundraisers. Now the house felt stripped of that usual glamour, as though the tension had stained every elegant marble tile. James, Reginald barked. What have you done? Dorian Mercer's facing serious prison time, and the FBI is tearing apart the firm's records. Yes, Vivian added, wringing her hands. And they're talking about tax irregularities, mentioning us. Our lawyers say we may have to give sworn statements. James regarded them without warmth. Why are you surprised? Dorian Mercer siphoned millions. You both turned a blind eye, awarding him secret shares while ignoring my warnings. You never offered me support. Now the government is asking questions you can't answer. He's our son, Vivian exclaimed. We were just helping him succeed. We never thought you'd betray him to the authorities. You're his twin. He betrayed me first, James replied, voice darker. And you helped him do it. Did you think the IRS wouldn't uncover those hidden shares you transferred to him? The law is quite unforgiving about unreported assets. Reginald's face went from red to pale. James, he said softly, we're a family. You can't just let your mother and me be publicly humiliated. This could destroy our reputation. We'll lose our standing in every social circle we've built for decades. That's exactly what's going to happen, James answered, his calm gaze never wavering. I'm not offering any help. You chose to side with him. Now you face the consequences. We're old, Vivian wept. We can't start over if the authorities seize our assets. The media coverage alone, you should have considered that earlier, James said. You treated me like a commodity, easy to manipulate. You put your faith in the wrong son. Now you'll lose everything. He turned to leave. His father grabbed his arm, tears brimming in the old man's eyes. Don't do this, Reginald pleaded. We beg you. We never meant to push you aside. You're a monster, she said again. I underestimated just how cruel you could be. I'm only as cruel as you forced me to be, he answered, standing up. Enjoy your evening, Celine Mercer. The hotel bill's on you. He turned and left, ignoring the wave of angry tears that spilled down her cheeks. He had wanted to see if she had a last trick up her sleeve. She didn't. Days blend into weeks. Dorian Mercer's case escalated. More evidence surfaced. Shell companies, falsified ledgers, bribes to city officials. Celine Mercer fell deeper into debt, hounded by reporters. Reginald and Vivian found themselves in the middle of a tax evasion scandal that threatened to strip them of every luxury they had ever owned. Vivian lost her law license and faced possible criminal charges for helping Dorian Mercer set up fraudulent transfers. James rarely slept more than a few hours, spending his nights coordinating with federal investigators. He fed them every hidden detail, every email thread. The more he revealed, the harsher the legal storm became for his enemies. In quiet corners of the city, Celine Mercer tried to find new benefactors, new men to trick. But each time her reputation preceded her. She found doors slammed in her face. She made desperate phone calls to old friends, some of whom had once idolized her. None would lend her the money she needed to maintain her designer life. Meanwhile, in prison, Dorian Mercer fought to get bail, fought to reduce charges, fought for a moment of freedom. But each new hearing brought more damning revelations from James's files. The evidence was incontrovertible. 3 months later, James made an unannounced visit to the county jail. He stood in a small, cramped visiting chamber with fluorescent lights. Across from him, separated by thick glass, sat Dorian Mercer, wrist chained. "You," Dorian Mercer said, his voice rasping with anger. "Why are you here?" "Come to gloat." "Maybe," James said, slipping into the chair opposite his twin. They shared the same sharp facial structure, the same height, but everything else was vastly different. "I'm not signing any plea," Dorian Mercer growled. "They claim I can reduce my sentence by cooperating." "Screw that, I won't sell out Mom and Dad just to get a shorter term." "You mean you can't," James corrected. "The feds already have enough on them, thanks to certain documents I provided." Dorian Mercer let out a hollow laugh. "Your sense of loyalty is twisted. Those are our parents. You destroyed them, destroyed me," humiliated Celine Mercer. "You have no heart, James." "An interesting accusation," James said, voice measured. "You committed fraud, tried to bury me. You seduced my wife, or maybe she seduced you. Doesn't matter. You conspired to take everything I built, and you expected me to roll over." He leaned closer to the glass. "I'm just better at finishing what you started, and I don't stop until it's complete." "You're insane," Dorian Mercer said, eyes burning. James rose. "Enjoy your time here. You'll have years to think about how you underestimated me." Dorian Mercer stood, rattling his chains. "You bastard, I'll never forgive." "I'm not asking for forgiveness," James cut in, turning away. "You're nothing to me now." He left the visitation area, the guards slamming a metal door behind him. For a moment, the finality of it all felt weighty. The empire was his again, cleansed of traitors. Those who had crossed him learned a brutal lesson. Elias Mercer was not a man to betray and walk away from unscathed.